Let's take a look at how to use Elementor with Logic Hop for personalization for landing page CTAs or calls to action. First, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we have Elementor Page Builder installed, and then go ahead and install the Logic Hop Personalization for Elementor add-on. This is included with any Logic Hop license plan. Once that's in place, we can go ahead to our Elementor Builder, and you'll see I have three similar CTAs. They're super simple. And when I come to view my page, you'll see that I have all three of these displayed at once. This is not really a desirable landing page, just in the sense that we have three different calls to action. We want to narrow it down to just have one. So if we look at these, we have one that's looking for off-road adventure, looking for adventure travel inspiration, and then the third looking for adventure on the high seas. Now, I created a couple of conditions, and you'll see that I have UTM content is boating, and UTM content is off-road. So let's take a look at these. And what they are is super simple, is if query string session UTM content, case insensitive, that's upper or lowercase, is boating, then this condition is true. The other that I have here is UTM content, again, case insensitive, is off-road. Now it's important to note this query string session will store this for the entire user's session, that is, while they're visiting your site. So if they hit the landing page and then they navigate around on your site and come back to the landing page, that query string is going to be sticky in the sense that it's going to be stored and remembered, so they wouldn't see misleading calls to action when they're back on that landing page. Let's take a look back in Elementor and see how to add these. It's very easy. So if I come to looking to off-road adventure, go ahead and click this, and I go to advanced, we'll see that there's a Logic Hop tab. I'm just going to say Logic Hop condition, instead of always display, I'm going to set this to UTM content is off-road. And then for adventure travel inspiration, I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to go to advanced, and under Logic Hop, I'm going to set this to be no conditions met. That means this will display when there's no conditions that have been met. And then if I come to the last one, advanced, Logic Hop, UTM content is boating. I'm going to go ahead and update this. And I'm going to reload this page here. And you'll see this is doing exactly what we thought it would, looking for adventure travel, inspiration. So this is our default, so no conditions are met. Now, I'm going to put in the query string, UTM content off-road, and you'll see now it's showing us that off-road adventure. Now what happens when I put in boating? Now I put in boating, wait a minute, we're getting both CTAs here. So one is looking for adventure travel inspiration, which is our default, and then our boating, adventure on the high seas. Well, that's not our desired functionality, so let's take a look at why this is happening. So if I come into Elementor, we're going to look at the order here. So it's off-road adventure, travel inspiration, and then high seas. If I take this and I drag it after, and go ahead and click update, and then let's reload this. Now we're just getting adventure on the high seas. And the reason for that is the no conditions met has to be the very last object on the page, or the last conditional element on the page. This is a useful utility, but it is somewhat confusing sometimes if you're seeing it when your conditions are out of order. So if I get rid of UTM content, if I just make it empty, looking for adventure travel inspiration, again, off-road, and back to boating. So now that we see we're going to get all of those use cases. And now the last thing I'm going to do is just clear out the session entirely, open a new incognito window, which gives us a new session. And there we go, we're seeing our default again. So just a little hint on how we're working with that no conditions met. That really means that there's no conditions that have been triggered anywhere on the page. So when we trigger that boating condition, no conditions were met before we got to that, and then the condition was met after. So it's linear in that sense. It has to come last. Now, a great question is, well, what if you have complex conditions, or if you want to have multiple conditions on the page that come after that? So let's take a look at how that could work. So under our conditions, I have UTM content boating and off-road. I'm just going to duplicate one of these, and I'm going to say UTM content is not off-road and boating. So I'm going to say if query string session UTM content is not off-road. And then I'm going to add another condition and say, and I'm going to select is not, add in UTM content, and boating. So this gives us the condition where we're saying UTM content is not off-road and it's not boating. So now I'm going to go back to Elementor and we're going to add this in. One thing that's important to note is I've added this new condition while I'm in the Elementor page, so I'm actually going to have to reload this for that condition to be available. So as I scroll down and I have my travel inspiration, I'm going to click on this and I'm going to go to Advanced, Logic Hop, and this is where it's saying no conditions met. Now I'm just going to change this to content is not off-road and it's not boating. Go ahead and click Update. I come back here and I reload and we're getting that again, which is our default. And now I'm going to add in the query strings. There we are for off-road. There we are for boating. And let's just put in a random one. We'll call this one fishing. Fishing. There we go. Travel inspiration. So these are just a couple of different ways that you can start to use conditions to be able to show different modules on your page using Elementor, and also a little bit of information on how that no conditions met works. Now, it's important to note as well that these conditions that I'm showing are query strings just because these are the easiest ones to demonstrate. So these could be any type of conditions, whether it's geolocation, whether it's time of day, whether it's goals met, pages viewed, and what have you. So hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, email us at info@logichop.com.